Hi everyone, welcome back. In this episode, I am bringing a special guest and we will together take you on a journey through the dynamic world of AI and how you can make the best out of it. And I'm not talking about learning how to create a good prompt with ChatGPT, for example. I'm rather more into the change of a mindset, how you perceive and how you are perceived in this new era where information can be available in the palm of your hands. That's the whole world here. And to understand a bit more on how AI is impacting our lives, especially now in 2024, I have today here with me Roberta Passerini, who is the Global Head of Customer Engagement for Health Systems at Philips. I hope I have said that right. So, hi, Roberta. Thank you for being here today. So, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hey, Bruno. Thank you so much for having me today. Roberta Passerini, again, the global head of customer engagement at Philips. Starting my career in consulting, strategy consulting in the telco world, and then I moved into corporate, where I led a number of transformation from digital transformation, audience-centric transformation in marketing, you name it. So I do have a passion for transformation and for change management. And that's why I was very glad to receive your invite today.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm really happy to have you here today. So, like the digital world today actually has been developing a lot recently, right? Like, especially in 2023, where we had things like generative AI, like recent developments in quantum computing, strong AR, VR news, especially now with Apple Vision Pro and Meta Quest 3, and so many other things. Like, how do you see the human side of it?
Yeah, I see it like the most important part of it. Now, talking to a tech expert like yourself, it may sound funny, but I do believe that, as you said, in 2023, we saw this spike in a big acceleration on how much digital technology are evolving. That being said, the most important element of all, like always, is the human adoption of it. So, with technology is very important and it can bring great benefits to us as employee in a company, but also to our customers. But even more important is not to forget that the technology success starts and ends with the adoption of the human side. And that's going to be, I think, the great opportunity we're going to have in 2024 and going on with also the technologies you just mentioned.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And one thing that I think it's very important nowadays is to learn how to use it, right? How can we use all this technology to leverage our daily tasks?
Yeah, I think we have great opportunities, and I'm sure all of us already started in our in our own private life to play around maybe with ChatGPT or similar. Clearly, in the business world, there are a number of elements. Imagine all the repetitive tasks or everything that is just taking administrative time from us, which can be really speed up and is going to improve. Not only we're going to spend less time on this repetitive task, but also the output is going to be much better. Think about this automatic. The easiest automatic task that comes to mind now is like the note taking, right? Or if you have this ginormous. The other day I saw a PowerPoint of 170 pages. Good Lord, if you have to read and get the 3 bullet points. Now, as we know now that we have technology where we can easily have this speed up, and of course we always have to check and fine tune. But the heavy load of some administrative task, I think, is going to be really the first one that I invite everyone to embrace.
Yeah, I totally agree. But like AI has been playing a very important role actually in our lives. But a lot of people are also afraid, people who are like doing a specific job and they fear that they're gonna lose their job. Do you think
Yeah.
AI can really take our jobs?
Well, what I think is that not necessarily AI is going to take our jobs, and of course now is a very generic, statement, but surely is going to impact and is going to change all our jobs. And I think that that's to me is really key for all of us to not only listen but really to understand. AI is going to change the way we do business and the way we collaborate across with each other. So that's the important step, because if you start accepting that element, it becomes easier to smooth into that. So clearly, changes are coming, and they're coming, as you said, much faster. Being afraid makes sense. Is a new technology. There is always this, again, human side of being afraid of something that is new. That's the way we are wired as human. Personally, I think the watch out is really, where do we stand with our moral compass as human? And of course, the translation of the moral compass as a human point of view translates into the core values and the purpose that we have in the company life, right? How do we explicit? Because as we all know it, and we read a lot of articles around the topic, not because you could, it means necessarily that you should do something. So where do we draw the borders from a privacy point of view, from, again, much larger and bigger topics? Where do we draw the line? So AI is not only a walk in the park, and it's not only opportunities. We also need to be aware that there are risks associated to that.
Yeah, 100%. But I see, like, I once heard one thing that I really like, that is like, AI will not per se take our work, but those who don't use AI will have a hard time finding one, right?
Yeah, I think is a very good way of summarizing it, and that's why, to me, it's important to embrace it already now, in the way that we feel comfortable with. But AI is not here to go away; it's here to stay. So, as you said, refusing or being too afraid or like being too stiff, I think is not going to bring us anywhere as human, but also from, because in history we never stop technology, right? That's the important, I think, learning. And from a company point of view, we would be losing a lot of advantage of serving our customers better. Therefore, of course, the impact on our top line.
Yeah, exactly. And you even mentioned now companies. I think one thing that has been brought a lot to attention is the aspect of hiring, right?
Yeah,
So a lot of companies are hiring people from all over the world nowadays, and it's difficult now to understand, like, how far should someone know a specific topic if they can easily research that online. And what would be the main difference for people? Like, how can people really stand out in today's market, like to
yeah.
be hired by a new company or a new position?
Yeah, wow, that's a very difficult and interesting questions. My personal view on that is that clearly we are shifting from this knowledge-based, way of learning and getting a job. So I get a job because I know X, Y, and Z, to a world that becomes much larger in a way and much more complex. So, as you said, we are now open to hire people and teams all over the world, which is great. How can we ensure that then, from a candidate point of view, you can stand out, and from, of course, company point of view, you can still maximize this offsite work, if I may say so, and still get the best talent. And that, I think, is really intrinsic on which kind of skills and capability we need, more than we need before, and what we need less. So we need less this big encyclopedia of people that know a lot, and we need more people that are able to be flexible, to be adaptable, to get sourcing and connect the dots in a very unique and unthinkable way. Um, and then goes back again to the way we started, Bruno, our conversation. That's the human side of technology. And it was a very interesting article from or study, I should not say article, I don't know if it's out yet, from Dan Biller in Forrester, where Dan is investigating the impact of new skills on the digital teams. And one of the points discussed there is, we used to have very technical skills in digital teams. Now they're not enough, because the machine can do some of these technicalities. You need to know less about the machine. Now, of course, we talk about um, there's still going to be some expertise that a digital tech versus a HR employee needs, of
Mm-hmm.
course. But what is going to make the difference and going to have these people stand out, to go back to directly your question, is going to be the ability of, again, connecting dots, adaptability, collaboration. And those are not classically, I would say, what we look at if you look at a job description of a digital manager, for instance.
Yeah, 100% agree. I would even say actually that nowadays there is like this cultural shift, right? Like the way we handle, the way we communicate, the way the company handles the specific problems and situations. I think there is a very strong cultural shift
Yeah.
nowadays in our society, not only within companies but in our society. How do you see that?
Yeah, it is a cultural shift, and it's fantastic to see. To be honest, I like this idea of moving and evolving and improving, and I think is extremely important because it's some is brought by the new generations, right? Generation Z are really already there, but in reality, all of us are changing. I'm changing the way I look at my work compared to 5 or 10 or forget about 20 years ago, right? So that's extremely important. I think the future is going to look bright. We're going to be more powerful, meaning that we have the power to make choices that are going to have a big impact. But at the same time, with great opportunity come also great responsibility, and that's the part where I think the company have a role to play. Clearly, the regulator have a role to play, and traditional, sometimes company or the society goes faster, and then the regulator follows. In this case, we have to ensure that there is more of a dialogue so that the companies and regulator can just shift together in a way, because that's going to be much easier for us as human to follow as well, without getting too much of different messages and with big titles on newspapers.
Yeah, you even said now about titles, and one thing that I noticed that new skills will have to be developed nowadays, right? So there are like about this cultural shift and everything that is changing now, and not only the companies and everyone like learning how to deal with that, and new roles will have to be created, and people will have to adapt to those things, and how fast everything is going, right?
Yeah, how do we do it? Yeah, absolutely. As you said, new roles need to be created, new skills need to be developed, and the companies are going to win and the individuals are going to win are the ones that are going to be able to do so much faster, because chances are that you are getting in a job when you have to start doing something even before it was defined. And I would say, of course, a little bit was always there if you think about more leadership position, but for an average, let's say a middle manager, the idea of having a job description or to do what we were supposed to do, it was just the way things were. And chances are that we're going to see less and less in the future. Because if you hire somebody today, maybe you know what this person or the skills that this person needs in 3 months, but not what the skills that this person needs in 9 to 12 months. And that again goes back to, the more flexible people you're hiring, like agile and quick to learn and eager to learn, if there is a will, there is a way, the easier it's going to be for organization on one hand to from think about HR departments or our hiring manager to be as specific as possible on the skills needed, but at the other end to leave the door open to what is needed, but we don't know yet, and we're only going to know after the person is already in our organization.
Yeah, perfect. I really like that, and I like that you took a little bit more on the enterprise level, right? And also like from the company perspective, one thing that I learned working in different enterprises is that speed is really critical. We really have to go as fast as we can. What are the things that you would advise to hiring managers or to companies and leaders that are driving this whole change in companies? What
Yeah.
are the do's and don'ts? What are the things that they should be doing and the things that they should not be doing?
Yeah. Great question. Well, if I must say, the do is try. And now it seems silly, but I don't think that with AI we can just sit and wait. We have to do something. Now, the something, of course, may change greatly depending on of course, which space you are in, how developed you are, and where you want to go, and what is the purpose. I mean, there are a lot of variables that defines the what to do. But my suggestion is, if the starting point is that AI is here to stay, it's not going to go anywhere, And we know that is a great opportunity, even though with risk that needs to be analyzed and we need to be absolutely aware of. We need to start getting our feet wet. We need to start experimenting. We need to start with our employees, so that then the more our employees are embracing it, the more it's easier then to go outside. So the first question again is do it, which can be start using AI, as I said, for a very small task, administrative task, but get the feet wet, so that slowly you take away this being afraid of the technology. So start. The not doing part, of course, is the opposite, which is just go wild, okay, in terms of don't allow everything. So there needs to be, I don't know if it's an entity, if it needs to be a committee, big corporation or bigger committees, we have to be also mindful there. But the idea that we need to have the moral compass to develop at the same time when we get our feet wet. Otherwise, we have something, is a toy that we cannot manage. From an hiring point of view, as I said, I would extremely careful in balancing this, knowing something in the technology. As I said, a technology versus a legal versus a marketing or sales guys and girls have different basic skills, let me put it this way, and different interests, even more important. But when we look at the future, the how we do things, as I said, they need to be at least as equally important. And traditionally have been kind of, we look at the tech guys more for the technicalities, and then that weight needs to shift a little bit already in 2024, in my opinion.
If you don't do anything, you're going to go down anyway. So
Absolutely, I fully agree with you. There is one element, or there is let me play devil's advocate. What I see sometimes is that, or the risk that we have, or we had in the past with much less disruptive technology, let me say it like this, is that there is an interest of following the technology. So I fully agree with you. We have to walk or run on the escalator, otherwise there is no future for us and as people, and for the company. That being said, we have to be very mindful on what is our I want to go to the moon. Meaning, if you look more on the on serving the customer, which is what we all we should be doing in the company, in my view, that should supposed to be the goal. And we need to look at how technology can help satisfy this goal even better. So the question we should answer is like, how by implementing AI we can, employees starting of course first, but from serving the outside customer, how can we do so better? Okay. So at the moment where we run, we need to keep in mind that we run for a purpose. We don't run to play catch up with technology, which can be a risk now. Like, oh, now a competitor has this, I want to have it. Everybody talks about AI. Yeah, but where is the strategy? Where do you want to go with that? So that's more the watch out that we have to keep in mind.
perfect, 100%. Actually, I always say that we have to have a goal. We have to know where we are going. And technology is there basically to support us, to give us the necessary tool to be able to achieve our goal faster. To all the people that are watching us, how would you advise companies and people nowadays to really deal with all this advancement in technology in 2024?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. Thank you, Bruno. Well, the first question, we need to start with the goal in mind. So what do we want to achieve in the short, in the medium, in the long term? And that requires, of course, a lot of the company level, a lot of getting together, right? It cannot be only digital teams driving, the technology push. It needs to be the digital teams, of course, our global teams. It needs to be the business lines. It needs to be our HR people closer to the people to really understand what do we want to get out of this new technology and what does it mean for us as a company, so that we can understand what are the boundaries, what I talked about before about the moral compass. The other part I would suggest to do, in any case, is to get your sandpit, right? Get your feet wet. Start doing something, because the sooner you engage, you obtain two angles. The first one, you learn technically what can work and what doesn't, and what is the level of maturity that we can embrace, again, as human, as an enterprise as well. And at the same time, you remove, by start using it, you demystify the fear of AI. Because we all know it. We have been starting already in 2022, we had some AI, but the difference that it was more like a iceberg, it was more underneath. Now it became much more prominent. And with that, all the fears, and again, big new spare titles. So get the strategy right, understand what's worked for you, what doesn't, get your feet wet, And of course, do keep your most human side up, because technology is going to bring and is going to accelerate some tasks. But the way that we do business, the way we can human make sense of it all and take the best. So again, agility, collaboration, openness, and new business models, that's going to be the make or break of the technology adoption.
Wow, thank you. That was a very, very good closing line, and I totally agree with you. And I actually want to thank everyone for being here today with us, and especially you, Roberta. Thank you for taking your time to talk to me and to all of our spectators. And just like everyone just heard Roberta saying now, don't stop, please continue. Like, the world is going very fast, so do exactly like Roberta mentioned. Don't stop, stay ahead. And yeah, if you want to get more content like this, I would be very happy if you would just sign up for this. And yeah, that's basically it. So thank you very much, Roberta. Thank you for being here with us today.
My
And
pleasure.
I thank you very much. Have a nice day there. Bye bye.